Hello and welcome to BFS Wargaming. Here for another video. We're going to talk about the Xenos armies this time. So we've done the Imperium, we've done the Chaos. You can go and look at them armies. We're going to talk about the Xenos races and armies. So we're going to go a little bit more into the lore of these armies because we sort of covered the lore of the Imperium and Chaos a little bit in our lore overview. So I skimmed over a bit with the other armies because you sort of knew the general lore if you've watched that video. But this time we're going to go into a bit more lore. So I'm going to start off with the Necrons. A couple of reasons. One, because I play them. And secondly, because they are the oldest race you can play in Warhammer 40k. So the Necrons are about long before the Imperium of Man and long before the Eldar or the Aeldari. So basically, the Necrons were called the Necron tier. They had an empire, but their bodies failed them a lot because from their home world there was a lot of radiation. And there was another race called the Old Ones, and the Old Ones were immortals. And the Necron tier asked them to share their secrets with them of immortality, and the Old Ones wouldn't. So they went to... basically, the dynasties of the Necrons started fighting each other. And the Silent King, who was the leader of the Necrons, decided the only way to stop all the dynasties fighting each other was to have a common goal. So they all went to war with the Old Ones. They actually were losing the war. And then one of the Necrons come across a Catan god, a star god. He was consuming a sun or a planet, I think, or feeding on a sun. And basically... the Catan agreed to help the Necron tier, and they also said they would give them immortality. So what they done is they shed their bodies for metal bodies, but as they done this in the process, the Catan gods consumed their souls, okay, as energy, and deceived them. It was actually the Catan called the Deceiver that deceived them. So what happened was they basically, once they were in the metal bodies, they found it a lot easier to fight the Old Ones with the Catan on their side, and they started winning the war. The Catan created their Aeldari, or Eldar, but in the War on Heaven went on for a lot of years, and finally the Necrons won, and along with the Catan. The Necrons then turned on the Catan once they'd won. We don't know whether they killed all of the Old Ones or some are still alive, but yeah, they may have left the galaxy. So what happened was the Necrons had taken quite a beating. They then killed one of the Catan, but released a massive virus among the population, which is where you get flayed ones from, which is a unit you can use in the Necrons army. So what they done is they attacked these Catan and split them into shards, thousands of shards, and then they used these shards and controlled them and used them in their army. And you can actually use Catan shards in your army, which are great fun. So basically, they got their own back on these star gods, which deceived them. The Silent King then said that they should all go to sleep for 60 million years on their tomb worlds because the Aeldari started getting very big and strong, and they basically wanted to sort of outlive them, they sort of thought that they would end up killing themselves, and then the Necrons would come back and they could then retake the galaxy. So the Necrons went to sleep for 60 million years. They've woken up 60 million years later. Some of them haven't awoken because the tomb worlds were destroyed. Some of them have not woken up yet when they should have. Some of them woke up early. Hasn't all gone completely to plan. Sometimes people woke them up like the Imperium might have come across the planet. Sometimes the Aeldari blew up these tomb worlds when they realised what they were. And sometimes there could be an Imperium world and you don't know that there's a Necron tomb world underneath and they could rise at any moment. So it's very cool. I love the lore on the Necrons. It's brilliant. I really like a lot of the models as well. They're very cool. They're not really powerful at the moment in 8th edition, but they're okay. They're pretty good. Their whole thing is that they're like they keep reanimating, so you can kill them and they can come back to life, which makes them quite hardy. And they have some pretty good guns as well. But yeah, that is the Necrons. I think they're one of my favourite races, along with the lore and the models. I think they're very cool. But yeah, take a more look into them. Have a read of the lore that I've talked about. Read some more lore. You can have a look into Imhotep the Stormlord. He's a cool character for Necrons. Also, the Silent King is back in the galaxy, and the Silent King could return at any time, so it'd be a bit like our Primarch returning. The Silent King would be probably the equivalent of our Primarch. Okay, so we're going to move on. So now we're going to talk about the Eldari. So there's 3 factions. There is Craftworlds, there is Asuryani, there is Drukhari, or the Dark Eldar, and then there is the Harlequins. So, what happened? There's actually a 4th faction called Inari, but we'll talk about the Inari afterwards because they're the newest race. Or the newest faction, should we say, not race. So, what happened is the Eldari had an empire that spanned the stars. They deemed themselves above any other race, and they still do. They became quite arrogant, and they became quite hedonistic and indulgent, and done everything to excess. And they used to have these big parties, and basically what happened is they actually birthed the chaos god Slaanesh. So in the Mighty Fall, as it's called, there was a massive cataclysm, and what happened is the Asuryani, or the left on these continent-sized ships called Craftworlds. Okay, huge ships. And the Drukhari, or the Dark Eldar, went into the Webway. And then you have the Harlequins. Now the Harlequins go from Craftworld. They aren't part of any of the sort of Asuryani society or the Dark Eldar society. They have no masters. They don't fit into them. They are their own faction. And they actually worship the Laughing God. Okay, the only Eldar god to survive the Mighty Fall. Now, the Drukhari, like I say, live in the Webway. They come out. They're like quite similar to like space pirates. So they come out and they do raids, and they sort of raid planets and take slaves, and they do stuff like they sort of do tests and mutate their beings and stuff, and they have units called like grotesque, which are all, you know, like monsters where they've been almost like Frankensteins, you know, and they're all sort of into pain as pleasure and all that sort of thing, very much leading into that Slaanesh life. But the Harlequins are sort of, they see war as art, and they're dancers, and it's all the same thing interwoven. The Harlequins don't have as big a range of units. They're quite elite, and they are not as strong as the other 2 in 8th edition at the moment. Drukhari and Craftworlds are both very, very good armies in 8th edition at the moment, and both have a lot of choice. Craftworld having the most choice of units out of the 3, then Drukhari, who have a really good choice of units, and you can play them in very different ways because you have almost 3 armies in one with the Drukhari, because you have the Cabal, you have the Witches, and you have the Homunculus Coven. 3 really interesting factions. Go and have a look at them. If any of them sort of like tickle your interest, have a look, go and read and see if it's something you'd be interested in collecting. You'll see battle reports from us with Drukhari and Craftworld, and we have a little bit of Harlequins in as well. So you can go and have a look at some of the battle reports on the channel and you can see all of them. And obviously Necrons you can as well. There's a lot of Necron battle reports from me. So the Inari are the 4th Eldar faction, or Eldari faction, and they are very new. There's only actually 3 units for Inari, which are 3 characters, and they basically I think is it Inari is the god of death, and he's the one that helped bring Roberta Gilliman back. And basically you can use these characters with any units from Harlequins, Drukhari or Craftworld, and you can play them as Inari. But if you have a look there's a White Dwarf, I think it was May 2018, White Dwarf, there was new rules for the Inari, which has stratagems, warlord traits, relics, all the new rules are all in there. So track that down if you want to play Inari. Again, have a look into it. It's all very interesting, the lore, and it's very much Inari are very much in the thick of things with the newest lore that's come out in Warhammer 40k. Okay, so I think that's pretty much covered the Eldari. Like I said, there's loads and loads more lore on each of these armies. You can go in, you can have a look. There's so much stuff in their codexes, in books, on the internet. You can just, so much to read about them. There's so much interesting stuff. So again, like I say, do your research, have a look at the models. I love the Eldar models actually. All of the factions are really nice. So take a look, see which ones tickle your fancy. I keep saying tickle your fancy. And, you know, see what you like. Okay, so moving on. We're going to move on to Tyranids. We're going to move on to Tyranids and Genestealer Cult at the same time because they are connected. So the Tyranids are neither good nor evil. They are just creatures. They are bugs. They remind me a bit of Starship Troopers. Okay, have you ever seen the film Starship Troopers? Well, these are the bugs. So they're sort of alien bugs, and they have like a hive mind. Their ships are all sort of organic. They are creatures themselves. Some people say they were created by the old ones to come and take over the galaxy and just completely wipe the galaxy afresh and start again. Because basically they feed on biomatter, so vegetation and humans as well as any other beings. And there's so many really cool models for the Tyranids. They have the Genestealers, they have Hormagaunts, Termagaunts, Exocrines, Tyrannofexes, they have Flying Hive Tyrants, they have Harpies. Loads of really cool models. Loads of stuff you can paint up really nice and quick, although you sort of needed to be quite nice and quick because that is the one thing with Tyranids, you usually have a lot of models on the table. So, you know, it can end up being relatively expensive because you've got to buy a lot of models. But again, as far as how good they are in 8th edition, they're pretty good. Like, you're definitely going to win games with them. They're not bad at all competitively. They're not bad. You can definitely go to a tournament and you could do well with Tyranids. Same with any of these, you can't just pick up Warhammer 40k, go to a tournament and think you're going to win. You have to practice with them. You have to practice the game and you practice with your army. Okay, so next up, Genestealer Cult. Now, Genestealer Cult are connected to Tyranids because they're based from Genestealers. So the lore behind the Genestealer Cult are that basically you have a Genestealer that is on a world and they basically start a rebellion in an Imperium world, mainly Imperium worlds that I've seen. They start a rebellion and they start mutating humans and it's all underground. What they do is they try and make it ripe for a Tyranid hive fleet to come in and then basically eat it all. And so there's not so much resistance because the genes see the cult there. And this cult, what they do is they worship that Hive Fleet. That is their god. Their ultimate ideal is that they're going to come down and be eaten and sort of, or like transferred. But yes, some really cool lore around the Gene Stealer cult as well. Take a look. But with the Gene Stealer cult, you can ally Gene Stealer cult with Tyranids, and you can also ally them with Astra Militarum. It does slightly change the rules, I believe, when you ally them with Astra Militarum, because it's sort of said that these Astra Militarum have been turned to Gene Stealer cult. So it's very, very cool. I really like the lore behind them, and there's been a lot of new models and new characters for Gene Stealer cult recently. You know, talking 6 months ago. So it's a really, really cool codex with lots of flavour and lots of different things. I will say, I do think the Gene Stealer cult is a harder codex to master. I think it's not as easy to play as, say, for instance, Tyranids or Necrons. It takes probably a lot of practice to become good with Gene Stealer cult. Next up is Orcs. Now, Orcs are very, very cool. Everyone loves Orcs. Orcs are just, their codex came out for 8th, and they're really, really cool. They were very much struggling before the codex. They weren't in a great position. Now the codex is out, they've become very good. So, Orcs is all about big hordes, loads of Orc boys running in, shooting their sluggers, using their choppers to kill people. They're a very, very fun army. Everyone loves the Orcs. Everyone loves an Orc player. Yeah, they're a really fun army, but they can be very competitive as well. They're in a very good place at the moment, and yeah, I look at the lore. They just want to have a fight, whether it's with themselves. If there's someone else to fight, they'll fight someone else. But if they're quite happy to fight themselves as well. Loads of great lore surround them, with their sort of main guy being Ghazghkull Thraka. It's said maybe one day they'll change Ghazghkull Thraka into a Prime Orc and he'll be this massive beast, which would be very, very cool. But take a look at the lore. I think the Beast Arises series, I haven't read it myself, but I'm told the Beast Arises series is really, really cool Orc lore in there. So you should definitely take a look. Yeah, just a really fun army. Loads of models, loads of cool, wacky vehicles and wacky rules and random stuff with the dice. Just lots and lots of fun. So, the last army we're going to talk about is the newest faction. Probably to come to 40k. It's the Tau. The Tau Empire is a very, very young empire. They are sort of fish people, if you like, and they are sort of a humanoid. They're blue skin, and they're all in like battle suits, or a lot of them are in battle suits. And yeah, if you like stuff like, is it Gundam, all that sort of suits and big guns and really cool. Obviously they'll be behind me, but really cool looking. Battle suits and that sort of thing. You've got some vehicles, lots of firepower. Yeah, I think this is definitely one of those armies that I look at, and I don't love the look of it, but I know some people are just like, yes, I love that aesthetic, I love the look of those models, I want those models. Not for me, but like I think they're great. I think there's some really nice lore around them. Take a look at that. It's all for the greater good. They're sort of like the Imperium hate anything that's alien. They hate anything that's sort of not human. But whereas the Tau are a bit like, yeah, come into our empire. If you're not Tau, but you'll sort of be a lower caste in the order of things. You'll probably be looked down upon. You won't have as good a time of it in the Tau Empire as the Tau do, but they will invite you in and get you working for them. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've sort of come to the end. Like I said, this is just an overview. I've given you a quick overview of each army. Sort of, like I said, do your research, have a look into the models, how much money you want to spend, how much you think that army is going to cost you. Because really, you're going to sort of want about 1,750 to 2,000 points worth of models. You'll probably end up getting more than that because you want variety and things like that. But yeah, just have a look to see how much you want to spend. You've obviously also got things like Kill Team. Now, Kill Team is a smaller skirmish game than Warhammer 40k, so you might want to start off with that first. So you're only having to buy like 5 to 10 models, and you can play that game, have a look into it. We have a How to Play Kill Team video series, so you can have a look at that. And then also coming out, which is coming out when I'm making this video, probably in about a week, is Warhammer 40k Apocalypse, which is massive battles on a much bigger scale where you're going to have a lot more models. But there is slight rule changes in both them games, but they are based on the same thing. So you can play 3 different games with the same models, which is very, very cool. We are going to be doing some Apocalypse battles. So, like, we do Kill Team, we do Warhammer 40k, and we're going to do Apocalypse. So all of the 40k stuff is going to be covered on this channel. So keep your eyes out for those. But thank you very much. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. If you haven't yet, share with your friends if they're getting into Warhammer 40k. Share this series with them. There's a playlist, Beginner's Guide to Warhammer 40k, which this will be in. And basically, it's just trying to make that transition, giving out some information to people that are getting into the hobby to help them make decisions on how they want to proceed and hopefully help them spend their money wisely. But thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.